Okay, so this is the interface of Terragen when you just start it up. And we're now in the terrain tab, so where we can change the terrain, the topography. Now it's just randomly creating things using a fractal function. But there's also an objects tab where you can add objects to it. Shaders where you can add the color of the landscape, so you can use it to say assign grass to certain elevations, snow to others. Water where you can add things like lakes to the atmosphere, where we can change the looks of the atmosphere. Lighting where we can change the position of the sun, and the camera where you can change the position of the camera, what it looks like at. And then in renderers we can render the final image by clicking render image. So let's go back to terrain and let's add our elevation model. And we do that by going here and adding a height field and loading it from the digital elevation model. And I'm just going to select the file that I prepared earlier. And yes, so I exported our elevation model from ArcGIS as an ASCII file .asc file. So let's add that. And now it's going to load this file. Alright, now let's just throw away the randomly generated terrain. And now it's all flat, so we need to find our elevation model. And we can open it and click here. And that's by default georeferenced to the same coordinates where it has in the real world. If you turn it off, it will actually be a bit easier to find the file. We can now right click in here and do center on this layer. And now we can see the layer here, and we see that we're looking at it from the wrong angle. So we'll need to rotate the camera around. We can just do that with the rotation buttons. Typically just press Alt and the left key to rotate it, or Alt and the right key to pan, or use the middle mouse button to move it around. Right. Alright, and now we are looking at the elevation model from the top, and it's not rendering every detail, so that's why we see all the little triangles. But we can sort of recognize the topography of the campsites with the big steep cliff over here and the river incision here, and now we know that our little quarry is here. So you can zoom in on this a little bit, and each time we change anything, it will start to redraw this. So you can temporarily freeze it with the ray traced preview, and you can zoom in on this and get closer to where we need to be. And that's where here we can basically just select our camera position. So let's say we want to position our camera here and we want to take an image of this side here. We can right click here and do copy coordinates, and then if you go to the camera, you can click here and we can paste these coordinates. Let's turn off the real-time preview. So alright, and now let's move the camera over there. You can see it's still pointing in the wrong direction, so we can either select the camera by clicking on it and then choosing the rotate option and then rotating the disc around in the right direction, or alternatively you can go to the options here, and this is the downward dip, so let's just make it look horizontal for now. This is the horizontal tilt, and now it's roughly pointing in the right direction. And we can now sort of go and see what it looks like by choosing this option and then going to the current render camera. And now we can see that we are roughly looking in the right direction, but let's move a bit closer. We can now recognize the little quarry in the campsies over here. So now we've positioned the camera and we loaded our elevation model. We can see in the renderer's view what it would look like. We can see it would be a bit boring. The terrain is all set to be brown. The sky is just perfectly blue. It certainly doesn't look like Scotland. And the first thing you can do is go to the shaders. And these are basically the colors of the landscape. And we can basically add something to it. Let's add a layer. Let's add the surface layer. And let's make this one green. So here we have a color wheel. Let's pick something green. You typically want it to be a fairly dark kind of green. So now that's already looking a bit more Scottish. And we can probably, that sort of over here is more brownish, and there are steeper parts that are more gray, so we add a few more. So let's just call this one I can't rename. Oh yeah, here I can rename it. So let's call this grass. And let's add another layer. Save. Oh. Surface layer. And we'll call it. We'll call this header. And the header is a bit more brownish. Very. And again, let's make it fairly dark. And we can sort of set some constraints for the altitude. The header doesn't occur at low altitude, so there's a minimum altitude of, well, let's make this a bit sharper. And let's that's a bit better. Let's make it a little bit less sharp. Transition. And maybe let's make it a little bit more greenish. Yeah, that's probably looking better. And now add some rock. And the rocks here are fairly dark, but they are gray. And for the rock slope constraints, they should have a minimum slope of, well, 30 degrees. Is that about right? Let's give it a little bit less. Maybe 30 degrees is okay. Let's make it a bit fussier. Alright, and let's limit the maximum slope of the grass and the header. Let's limit the maximum slope of the header to, well, let's make it quite a bit less. This and the grass, let's limit the grass to less. Maybe a bit more. Yeah. We're getting a sort of more natural landscape. Let's get a bit more grass. And let's make the header. The color isn't really working, so let's. It's still a bit too bright. That's getting better. Maybe a bit too dark. Oh well, that will have to do for now. And now let's add some atmosphere to this. So that's a cloud layer. Let's add some very thin clouds to this. And then we can play with the lighting. So we could, for example, change the dark position of the sun. So now the sun is coming from 300 degrees and we're looking roughly east. So if we set it to a smaller value like this, then we should get the sun in the background. So look. Now we should have the sun over there. And we can make the sun lower for a more sunset-like effect. Oh, that's a bit too low. And like this we're getting a sunset. Make it a bit higher. So adds a bit of drama to the scene. Or we're going to put the sun in the back in this. Put the sun in the back but make it a bit lower so we get nice soft light, soft and warm light. Then we go to objects and we can add objects and we can convert them in the library. So in the library we can open files, just by browsing through our files. So we can add OBJ files. So let's add this one to our dataset, or yeah, let's add the house. And we want to load it as an object, not as a population. It's not from Xfrog. Okay, now we have it in here. And to position it, we can just go right-click somewhere on the landscape where we want to position it and copy the coordinates. And then with the house selected, we can translate it by pasting the coordinates to there. And now we can see it pop up over there. And now if we render this, and we can copy the view to the render camera with this button, so it will be used by the camera. And then we just click render image. And this can take a while depending on the resolution. Now rendering a fairly low resolution preview image of 800 by 450. But after, if we like this preview image, we can rerun the model at a higher resolution for our final image. So here we see our image. We can see the house being put into the quarry. We can see that roughly the steepest parts are indeed rock. We can see the road down here. You can see the shadow of the mountain. So that's just one example. You can render a scene in Terragen, and you can refine things a lot. The different surfaces, the atmosphere, to get nicer results.